Michael, would you please give us a general overview about your company and the business model?
Certainly. So Reneuron is a UK-based biotechnology business, and we are developing therapeutics derived from stem cells. So we're trying to harness the excitement and the potential of stem cells and turn those into therapeutic products. Our primary focus is on stroke disability, so we're developing a stem cell-based treatment for disabled stroke patients, and we have other programs that are focused on peripheral limb ischemia or critical limb ischemia, which essentially is a stroke of the leg, again associated with blockage of blood flow. And we also have another program focused on retinal degenerative diseases, so back of the eye diseases.
Michael, could you give us some background information about yourself?
Yes, certainly. So I originally studied economics at University College London, graduated and then studied to be an accountant in the UK, so I've actually come up through the business route. I'm not a scientist by training. I spent my early career in mainstream industry outside of biotechnology, certainly, and then moved into healthcare around 20 to 25 years ago. Initially working in medical devices, and then moved to the stem cell scene and Reneuron specifically just over 10 years ago.
And John, what about you?
Sure, I am a scientist. I originally studied in Australia, which is where I came from. I moved to Paris to do a PhD, and from there to the University of Oxford as a neuroscientist. And I got an academic post at King's College in London, which is where, along with some colleagues, we developed really the scientific rationale for the company, without realizing it, if you like. And so it was really about making stem cell therapies as means towards actually developing treatments for patients. Although in those days, of course, it was really around what we could do in animals. But that's kind of where I'm really pleased to have got the company going, that we've managed to get to the position we're in now.
Michael, what's so special about your flagship candidate, REN-001?
Well, REN-001 is our flagship candidate for disabled stroke patients, and that's a group of patients who really have no alternative treatment options available to them at the current time to help them with their disability. And what we're looking for with REN-1 is for that treatment to engender a degree of recovery in these patients, recovery of motor function, an ability to move the affected side of their body more easily, which is typically what you see in disabled stroke patients, an inability to move, and thereby give them a more independent quality of life. We believe there are very solid economic arguments as well as clinical arguments from the patient's perspectives to trying to address that condition. And there really are very, very few treatments either in development or that have already been developed for that particular patient group. So it's very special from our perspective that we're trying to offer these patients something that will help them to lead a more independent quality of life. And of course we hope that if we're successful, then that will also benefit the business and our investors as well as we develop that product and hopefully make money from it.
John, which drugs are currently in the development pipeline and in which stages each?
Well, sure. Well, Michael's told you about REN-1 for disabled stroke patients. We're currently in a phase 1 clinical trial. We've treated about half the patients, and that's underway in Glasgow, in Scotland. And so far, the data looks really good. The patients, there's no safety issues arising. It's a direct injection deep into the brain of the cells, and no issues about that from a safety perspective. And what we're seeing, I think, is positive from what the patients are reporting. So it does give us belief that we should move on and now test the efficacy of this product. And we've already submitted a clinical trial application to do a first efficacy testing trial, which will be done in patients, perhaps, while they're still, hospitalized, when they're still showing very severe disability. That subgroup of stroke survivors that will benefit from this will be a very focused group, and we'll be looking to see if we can actually improve significantly some aspect of their function. Beyond that, so REN-9 is our second indication, and that's for critical limb ischemia, which is a major complication of diabetes. That's where there is loss of blood supply to the lower limb, and the end result of that is frequently amputation. And that is a very, very severe problem associated with diabetes and obesity. So it's one it's a growing indication in the Western world. So we're looking to begin a clinical trial soon. We've already filed a phase 1 safety protocol with the regulators in the UK to do a clinical trial, and we hope to move that one on into an efficacy trial fairly soon. The final indication that we're focused in on is REN3, and that's for retinal disease. That's back of the eye issues concerning photoreceptors. So we actually have a stem cell photoreceptor product that we are injecting into. We will hope to be able to soon, in the next couple of years, inject into patients to actually reverse the degenerative condition retinitis pigmentosa, so we can actually make those patients see. So that's a very exciting prospect. We're looking to have a clinical trial underway in about 2 years.
Michael, could you give us an overview about Reneuron's financial situation?
Sure. So we're a biotechnology business that's actually quoted on the London stock market, on the AIM market in London. And we are an early stage development business, and that means we don't generate revenues from our therapies at the moment. What we're looking to do is take those therapies through preclinical and early to mid-stage clinical development, and then ultimately license those programs to pharmaceutical companies to take to the market. So in order for us to get from that early stage to the licensing stage, we're dependent on our investors to fund us, and we therefore then deploy those funds towards those development programs. So currently for instance, we raised some money in London earlier on this year, around about 7 million euros, and that will give us funding certainly for at least the next year. And all being well, if we can hit our milestones in terms of clinical development, we then go back to those investors and seek further funds. And our investor base is a mix of investors both in London, there are some in mainland Europe and some beyond in territories more distant.
Well, thank you for being here on the Frankfurt Stock Exchange and answering my questions.
Pleasure, thank you.
Pleasure, thanks very much.